the...
Well, there we go. We got there eventually.
It is Monday night. It is time for another episode of ComX Recent Reads. I'm your host, Ryan. Joining me is Sis, that ComX guy, man behind the ComX Network Australia. Sean Craig. Give us a wave, Sean. Justin McNamara. And
Good
Nathan
evening.
Judd.
Hello. Peace. We'll get it in
All
frame.
right, so we've been reading some cool books this week. But as always, we'll start off with a wild card question. And that today is, a lot of us are drawn to comics through the artist or the writer or a bit of both. I'm going to throw it out to you guys. Is there anything in particular that catches your eye first? Is it when you're looking at a creative team?
I'll go first. Everyone else
Yeah.
is sitting there. Well, I don't really look at the creative team, to be honest, because I forget half their names. So I just see the art on the cover and then I open it to make sure the art's the same inside. If I like that, I'll pick it up and I'll read it. If I like the story, I'll get the next one. If I don't like the story, I won't get the next one. So it's a bit of both.
Nice.
The art will get me in, the writer will keep me there.
I know there's a lot of artists out there at the moment that have that very problem with the whole market for variant covers right now, because that's very much a part of like comic books, right? It's like the cover is selling the book itself, but 9 times out of 10 now, you could go to your local comic book store and pick up the book, and the artwork that's on the cover is not even remotely the same as the artwork that's on the interior of the book. So
Lipstick on a pig, that's what it is. Lipstick on a pig.
sometimes
It
is.
I'm in two minds about it. I don't mind it necessarily. I used to hate it, but now I expect it to be different. So maybe I just know better now. I've been jaded. I've been hit too hard.
It could be worse.
What appeals to you, Jody?
The holograms and shit.
What grabs you first?
Because I'm an artist, I would say art has been like the primary draw card for me. But I would say more recently, I've been really struggling to find something that I've actually enjoyed reading, that I read and go, oh, that's actually good, and I just like, it doesn't feel like a chore. So I've actually been swinging the other way and going, what's an interesting writer with like a story that kind of, encapsulates or keeps me engrossed a little bit more, because I've just been struggling to just because I've been going through different books for this week, and I was like, man, I read a lot of duds, or I went back and read something I thought I liked, and I was like, God, these are garbage.
Do you find by doing that? Do you find by doing that you're going back and reading some things where initially maybe the art style wouldn't have grabbed you, but because of who's written it, you've sort of been more willing to dive into the book?
Yeah, I'm definitely more like open to it, as long as it's not too abstract. I think if the story is really strong, it's going to carry. Like, I think it's always that thing. One's going to kind of carry the other. Like in a dream world, both are really good, but because everyone's so different in what they're like, I feel like there's always going to be one that's a bit stronger for you. But yeah, I think recently, the last few months, maybe it's because I have been focusing on writing and storytelling more, but it's just trying to find something that keeps you engrossed in it. Especially if you don't like the art, you really need that to carry. And this is also coming from someone who's like, oh, look, I've got Brigade. This is a fantastic story. This is exactly why I grabbed this. I'm like, oh, it looks great. What story have we got in this one? Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, no story. So I've been on both sides. I think it depends on where you are in that space. So, yeah. Right now, I'm on the writer's side. So
sounds good.
Here's a comment for you, Nathan.
Zatanna, great art and story. I will. Great character.
Yeah, good to see you back.
Great personality.
We always appreciate the comments. Sean, what appeals to you more straight off the bat, the story or the art?
Oh, like with the creative teams. That's actually a pretty good question for me. Like, I would probably say
having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Have you changed
Your vo-
browsers, Sean? Your sound's gone like it was last time.
Really?
Yeah. Or you're just not close enough to the phone, one or the other.
No, I'm probably not close enough. Can you hear me a bit better?
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got. Okay, this is audible. Both. Like, and artists. Especially when you've got the.
Sorry, your
team,
sound.
like,
You might need to speak into the microphone just for a bit, Sean, because we're just struggling to
Yeah, struggling to hear you. Sorry,
to
buddy.
hear.
It was working so well before too.
Maybe is there anything that could be obstructing the microphone on the phone?
No. What's the muddy?
I'm just seeing if there's anything I can do on my end to increase the volume. Yeah, I'm full.
Can you increase his volume?
I can't increase it any more than it's already increased.
Okay. Maybe pick up your phone and talk into the microphone part.
Yeah. I have to hold it like this. Okay. Is that any better?
That's
Yes.
better.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, with creative teams, probably like both writer and artist, like the team.
Yep.
Probably what I usually go for. Like I do go for like either writer for artist, but the thing is just like if I had to choose between writer and artist, probably the writer because like if it's got a good story but the art's if the art's not very good, but if it's got a good story, I can actually forgive that. But you got if the art's really good but the story's just no good, then it just becomes a very difficult slog to read. So
No, that
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
right.
The little one.
I mean, that makes sense. It's
But
because
yeah,
it is.
usually I go for like the team, like especially like when Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon back when he was alive together, like they were a great team. They make such great stuff. Oh, and Grant Morrison with Frank Whitley.
Yeah.
That was a great little team as well. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
That's what's so great about comics is like you get those groups that work so well together and then put out like a body of work rather than just one particular story. And
Yeah.
I think we get spoilt in that way when you get two creators that work so well together. The one that always comes to mind for me is that Batman run that started with the New 52 and went all the way through was it Last Night on Earth and Dark Knights of Metal and all that sort of stuff with Snyder and Capullo. Like a team that sort of hadn't done anything together before, but then put out an incredibly iconic body of work that it was like you didn't have to be familiar with what they were planning. You just had to go, okay, well, I trust the creative team, so I'll pick up the book and jump in. And there's been so many people like you say, with Ennis and Dillon, Morrison and a number of artists, where Mark Miller and a group of artists as well, where you can sort of trust that, okay, I've liked their work before, I'm going to like it again.
I think, like Capullo and Snyder are both like heavy hitters, though. That's both like that's Dream Team kind of territory.
I mean, maybe it's just me. I wouldn't say that Snyder, this Scott Snyder, I wouldn't say that he was necessarily a heavy hitter before Batman.
Yeah, I guess I've come in after, so for me, he was always famous. I don't actually like everything I've read from him. I like Capullo. That's one case where Capullo's carried every single issue I've read from him. But a lot of people like him, so I get it. But to me, he's always just been this big, enigmatic kind of writer. So must be something.
What do you think, Justin?
For me, honestly, I couldn't give two hoots about the writer. With most of my comics, I couldn't even tell you who wrote most of them, but I could tell you every single time who drew it. I'm attracted 100% by the art, and if it's good art, no matter how bad the story is, put it this way, I bought John Byrne's The Babe, so I was completely there for the art. I wasn't there for the story. And like there's a lot of good artists. There's a lot of good artists that have had crappy stories, but the comics have still sold well. There is very few with good writing but crappy art. Comics is a visual medium. No matter how good the script is, if the actors aren't good, that movie's going to fail. And I feel the same way about comics. No matter how good the script is, if the art isn't good, it's going to fail. And you can stick as many lenticular or whatever covers on the front of it. Eventually, people will open it and go, "Oh, this looks like crap." And half of the people will, I think, would give are more forgiving for bad writing than they are for bad art. There's a lot of artists who disappeared down the toilet very quickly after the whole image thing came and went because they were just emulating other people's art, and they've not been seen again. But there's like I said, like as far as writing's concerned, I barely noticed the writer's name. I'm sorry to all of the writers out there. It's not it's not that I'm being critical of the thing, but for me, it's of your work. But one of my favorite comics is The Defenders from the 70s. Like there's barely a good issue there, but gee, the art is consistently awesome all the way through. So yeah, I'm art all the way.
I kind of like
version of Defenders.
What was that?
Did you get to read Eric Larson's version of Defenders?
Yeah, the worst comic book ever made. Well, he printed that on the front cover. He had the worst comic book ever made on the front cover of the last couple of issues of it.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I watched the Fearless Defenders too that Terry Dodson did, but yeah, it's again, I know that Dodson drew the Fearless Defenders, and I know that Larson drew his run, but I don't know who wrote those. If it was Larson, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think Larson was writing that as well. Like I remember when it came out, like when I was living with Ryan Vella back at the time, he brought it because he's a massive Eric Larson's his god. And we were both reading it, and we were just like, dude, this comic book is like balls, man.
I'm a fan of Larson.
It's trying to be funny, and it's just like,
it is funny.
All the time they're beating the crap out of each other.
That's the whole thing about it. He's explosion.
I think that there's some artists.
Larson was only doing it just to get the money.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Savage Dragon back at the time wasn't getting as much money as it was back when it started.
I think there's some artists who are good at writing their own art. Some of the stuff that Kirby did for DC was amazing, and Byrne's Fantastic Four and stuff like that. But there's, I think sometimes artists can't edit themselves very well when they're writing their own stuff. Image made a whole career out of it, so. But yeah,
I think we have to preface Image now. It's like we have to say early Image now because it's
early Image. Sorry, yeah.
I know, because I get it, but I think other people will be like Image, and it's like no, we're
not the Walking Dead Image. I'm talking the Brigade Wildcats Image.
Yeah, because Image is a beast of two different forms. I mean, you've got Walking Dead, Invincible, Saga. You've got the Kirkman, the Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah. I'm certainly talking about early
sort of eras of Image, which is some of the most phenomenal independent comics that have been put out in the past 30 years.
The only opinion I would put in, which is kind of a thing, it's like, I think it is a bit of a journey too, because you start at one place, and it's like, for me, it was like Jim Lee, 90s Image, and it's like, now I'm in a completely different place, liking stuff. If you gave it to me 10 years ago, I would have gone, ugh. Like, what is this? Oh, their eyes isn't exactly like fully detailed and rendered. Like, So I feel like it is a bit of a journey to just to diversify yourself, So and everyone is at like a different place on that, and it's like that's the only thing I would say.
I think Image. I think when Image started, they wanted to be Marvel Comics, but they realised that they're better off being Dark Horse.
I think they just want to be rock stars.
For me, it was all. It's been.
It's probably better than Image back then.
Yep, agreed, Sean.
I think the
especially near like they got all create their own content and it doesn't cross over and all that. Like just leave that stuff to Marvel and DC. They're kind of
100%, Sean.
Like every comic book stuff, comic company gets done. It's just like it's always just second rate.
Yeah.
It's like you're just better off just leaving the superheroes to the two companies that do it best. Well, they used to do it best.
For sure.
What about you, Ryan?
For me, it's always been a sort of when I first started getting into comics, it was more art, but now it is more the writer, and the writers in turn have helped me discover more artists that I like, because I will go back and read earlier parts of their work that I hadn't been exposed to, maybe with other creators that I hadn't been exposed to, and it opens up a whole new avenue of writers and artists to enjoy. If you like, a classic example, like you like Claremont X-Men years, so you've been exposed to Paul Smith, you've been exposed to John Byrne, you've been exposed to Michael Golden, iconic creators now, but then you can go back and explore some of the work that those people started to do with writers that weren't Chris Claremont, which can then put you onto new writers, new artist combinations, things like that. It's kind of like it's a great web to fall down, but it becomes quite obsessive when you've got a bit of a completionist personality, because you kind of want to read everything, and then you get stuck on these constant sidebars because you're constantly being exposed to these great new creative teams, and I don't know. It's probably a good problem to have in the scheme of comics, like, and never getting bored because there's always something new to explore. But that's it. That's it from me. It's been good to hear what everyone else thinks, but I think we need to crack into our reviews for the week.
And this will be the fun part. I'm going to let the software decide who goes first.
No.
Because I don't know what happens when I press this button. So, it's me. Oh, it's me! Oh, hang on. It's not even bringing you guys over.
It's doing something.
I will quickly get you guys over here first. Actually, I don't know how. Oh, here we go.
Here's a recommendation from Ray. Haven't heard of that one.
I'm just putting it in my notes.
Hey, Matthew.
Cool. I'm going to overlay. So,
I think that's
okay.
About that.
I didn't know it did that, so I just learned something. Okay.
To let everyone know, we're on a new platform, so we're still working the bugs out. So we're no longer using Streamyard. We're using, what do they call it? FMux? Is that
yeah, this has got a weird name.
Weird name. But it's got a whole bunch of new features and bells and whistles, and we're still getting the kinks out.
Still getting used to it. Anyway, I will start with my book. I didn't read all of it. I'll put that out there. But this is the closest thing I've got to a read book this week. So it's this. Now, it's French, so I'm not particularly 100% sure how to pronounce that. I would say Nicopole, but I'm probably wrong by miles, because it was originally written in French, and it was only recently translated to English, I'm told. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I read anyway. It's a cool book that I've read so far. basically, I think Nicopole, the main character, he is shot off into space for some sort of war crime as punishment and cryogenic frozen to not come out of being frozen, I guess, for 20 years. And what ends up happening, he doesn't know why, but 30 years later, he crash lands back on Earth when he was meant to be shot out and land on some other planet. It's 30 years has gone by. He finds out there's been 2 nuclear wars. The place is ravaged from it. But in France, the Egyptian gods have come back. And they're back to... Well, it's not 100% clear. I guess the last bit will tell me why they're back. But they just get up to stuff, and you're not sure why they're doing it. And again, I didn't read all of it, so I probably would have found out why they were doing what they were doing. There's one god in particular whose name escapes me, who possesses Nicopole. Sorry if I'm saying that really wrong. And gets him to do all these things, and it's not really clear why he's doing them. All you find out is that the Egyptian god who's doing that is then punished by the other Egyptian gods for doing it because it's apparently against some rule of theirs.
Gods
they don't
always
explain what that is.
That's
It's
always
just
the thing.
so much. Sorry?
Gods are always not interfering. That's always.
Oh
thing.
yeah, not at all. But I don't even know if it was because he was possessing him or the mission he put him onto that was the problem. That said, as weird a story as it is, and I love weird, so this really appealed to me. The art is gorgeous. It is a French comic, so I have to be careful not to go the nude pages. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just like probably not the best
Very
example.
heavy metal, isn't it?
Busy page, like it's just. Oh shit! Okay, no, I can't show that one. This one's sort of safe. It's just the page opposite that I can't show. So yeah, it's just
That's amazing.
yeah, it's
that's
just
phenomenal.
and the screen's not doing it justice. I can tell you that now. And I just enjoyed this so much, and because it's a collection of 3 comics, they've got some cool like in process art in between, all that kind of stuff. So a bit of work in progress stuff to show you how the thing was made. But from what I've read so far, excellent comic, highly recommend it. Hard to get. I found it online being sold for around $200 to $300. I did not pay that. I found one person that was selling them for $75. And this was the second last copy they had. So I don't know why theirs was so much cheaper because it's the whole thing. But I was expecting to get it and it'd be like half the comic or something like that. I don't know. But yeah.
That's a nice
good comic.
oversized hardcover. It looks as well.
Yeah,
so
it's an
that's-
oversized hardcover as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's nice and big. And there's heaps of copies of the French version as well out there, if you can speak French. But yeah, great story. I forget the name of the 3 comics that originally made it up, but yeah, Nicopole Trilogy, I think will do. The artist, if you can read that, Enki Bilal? I don't know. Sorry, I'm horrible at pronouncing English names, so I'm even worse with foreign names. So yeah, beautiful art, imaginative story, and when you see the art close up, it's just like wow. So yeah.
France is supposed
That's
to be
my
really
one.
big into the comics as well, actually.
Awesome.
Sorry, what was that, Sean? You have to speak closer to your microphone.
France is actually pretty big into the comics as well, actually. Yeah.
Sorry, mate, can't hear you.
France is actually really into comics as well.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
I think-
yeah. Sorry, I'm hearing
I
you
think
now.
per
Yeah,
capita, France has a bigger comics market than the United States. Like
yeah.
if you look at it,
The French
like per
love
dollar
comics.
spent and
You're
per
not looked down upon
reader.
reading comics.
I think they've actually got like schools, like a form of like comic education you can do, like a college thing. So,
Well,
France is very art and plate, so
I say maybe
Yeah.
Europe. I'll say in Europe, maybe not France
Yeah.
exactly, but like, yeah, but Italy and stuff. I think there's one or two.
so Kiwi artist who lives in Australia, Colin Wilson, who most people probably know from 2000 AD, he has been working almost exclusively in French comics now for years and years and years, and the quality of the work that he puts out is phenomenal, and really the time frames and the conditions that a lot of European publishers allow their artists and the creative teams to work under is a lot more flexible and a lot more advantageous with control, like IP control and stuff like that, than the US comic market. So, imagine you could get paid well and only have to put out one graphic novel a year. You know, like it's a pretty phenomenal
Yeah,
system that they've got.
and have over a year to do it. Like,
Yeah,
sort of-
and they appreciate the. I mean, um, I remember having conversations with Colin about it, and like he'll do a show here, like when he used to do supernovas and stuff like that, and it was mainly sales here and there, but like catching up with friends and other creators and sort of hanging out for the weekend. Like he goes to a French comic book store over there and does a signing, and he gets mobbed. Like he's there for hours and hours and hours signing books. Like so, I think that's really cool. It's really cool that there's this other. I suppose it's the same with like manga and like all the countless um, stories that get published like internally in Japan and then like very very slowly leak out in English to like other markets here or there. That they have like an entire industry full of like amazing names that most of us have never even heard of until books like the Nicole P. Oh, sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the book that you've read.
Oh, my book.
Nicopole
Yeah, I'll
trilogy.
put it up.
Nicopole trilogy. So until books like that do leak out and then start to get a bit of press or someone talks about them, you don't really know. So it's good. I love having stuff like that on the show.
Oh, what's happening? I took my mouse away and it stopped doing what it was doing.
Lee Chalker in the audience. We love you, Lee.
Man.
Okay. I don't know what I just did then. Oh, here we go.
Hey, Carol.
That's who can be next.
Hello, Mum.
It's actually your mom.
Yeah.
Bro.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I taught her how to use YouTube.
What are you talking about?
So I went through several options to try to get something good. I ended up with, I'm hoping no one's done it, but Radiant Black, which I'm assuming someone here, I feel like Ryan's going to be familiar with it because he knows everything.
I haven't read it, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay. It's I've read it like when this first came out, and then I was like, I really remember it. I don't think I actually finished it, and I'm like, I reread the first two issues today. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like ties into what you were saying today. It's like you like the writer or the artist. I'm not completely sold on the art myself because it's like very kind of clean. It's more of like illustrative in the sense like it's carried a lot by the color. Would be the way I would explain it. It's very dynamic. It's very clean. I was trying to find a good example. Okay,
Who's the creative team? Just give us the creative team.
I'll show you that first. Like, that's a good example of it. That's a crazy splash. Yeah, I should start with the creative team. So it is. So Kyle Higgins he's the writer, and the artist is Marcelo Costa. If I'm pronouncing it right.
Kyle Higgins had a great Nightwing run with the New 52. He started off doing Nightwing with Eddie Barrows. Fantastic one.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask you, what he's done. So for me, he's carrying this. Like he is very like. There's a lot of dialogue in it, so there's a lot of like speech bubbles. But because he's so good at creating characters and driving a conversation, he's actually carrying the book for me, which is kind of what I expected from everything I've read about it before I bought it. in terms of what the comic is, it's kind of like, I guess, like Power Rangers meets Green Lantern. Like there's a guy and he's really down on his luck. He's like a writer, and he's out of money. He's in debt. He's living in LA, and he has to move across the country back home with his parents because he's got no money, and he's just like he's struggling, and then so it's kind of he's dealing with that, dealing with like no one wants to be in that position. He feels like he's zero, hasn't achieved anything. His books haven't amounted to anything. So I mean, I'm sure that writer's kind of put a bit of himself into that character as a creator. Like I think everyone can relate to that a little bit. And then his friend welcomes him back, and they've got like their own cool dynamic relationship. They're very much opposites. He's like, he's not in the best spot, but his friend's like very outgoing, kind of positive, but to the extent that he gets himself in a bad situation. So you got one guy who's kind of more of the straight guy, is a bit more withdrawn. The other guy's like pushing him out. And then, they kind of end up in a bad situation after drinking one night, and then a random mini black hole emerges, and that kind of gives one of them powers. So that's about as far as I've got. So he gets a cool suit. So like the suit design in this is awesome. I will say that. As much as I go, I don't know about the art, but like if you look at, and that's why I say it's kind of like Power Rangers meets Green Lantern. If you see,
I can see that
sort of design, you can kind of see it's like, you threw both of them in a blender. So it's kind of simple.
I'm actually really digging the art style. I think it looks really cool.
It is very colourful. Like it is good. I'm sure. Like once I've finished the run, I'll be like, this is the best artist.
You gotta let it simmer. Gotta let it soak in.
Yeah, it is. It's like at the start, and I'm sure I'll actually be like, he is the best. Like, but there is pages like that which, like, usually I would probably complain about, but because it's so well done, because the writing is that good, I don't mind it, and it's kind of I was quite happy to read it. But yeah, the premise is pretty interesting. Like that panel there. Like I say that, and like I haven't even read this part yet, but that's a cool panel. So, I just think it's very clean. I would like to see it if you took the color off it. I just don't. I think like 65% of the artwork would be gone. That's the only thing I would say. I don't know how well that would hold up on a page, but
your love of black and white comics is showing, Nathan.
Yeah, I am.
Just a little bit biased with the black and white.
I'm very. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I do like my black and white art, so I can't hide that. But it is fun, and it is Image. Am I not wrong this time, or is it someone else? It is Image. Okay, not Boom like last time or something. I definitely recommend it. I'm going to keep reading it and probably look at. Hopefully, it's good and pick up the second issue. I think it's up to like 30, and I think they've built like a whole. There's like some extra books surrounding it, so I'm pretty sure it's doing pretty well. I'm a little bit wary of like kind of joint like universe building, like that kind of where I'm at now. It's like I'm not so. I don't really care about universe. I kind of want like character, and that's why I'm kind of like DC Marvel. I'm like, just take a little bit of a break. I'm over here. Let's meet some interesting people. I don't want to be standing up looking at the party, up top with Kingpin. I want to be down there talking to them, finding out, who's the real criminal here. So bad analogy, but yeah. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I can't give any spoilers, so I literally don't know any. I do know one, which I remember from my previous read, but I won't say that. It's a big spoiler. So yeah, I would actually, hard recommend it, especially for you, Ryan. If you know the writer, because you're a writer-focused guy, I think you'll dig it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one that I've been meaning to crack into for quite a long time now, but the reading pile is so large, but your review and having a better look at it and hearing a little bit more about it, it kind of makes me want to jump into it a bit more than I did before, because I don't know about everyone else's local comic book store, but mine, the comics are generally, even the trades, the trades are generally bagged. So you
Wow,
kind
okay.
of like you can read the back, you can look at the front, you can like Google some images, but for the most part, like you're not
So you're saying
picking up, looking.
they bag the floppies, like the
No, no,
actual
no.
floppies?
It's just the trades, like the trade paperbacks.
Like,
They're all
is that what that is? Is that what you call
they're
that?
all bagged.
Like a graphic
Yeah,
novel?
yeah,
They
yeah.
bag?
Graphic novel.
They bag them?
They
Wow,
bag
okay.
them. Yeah.
What?
Special.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like I really want to flick through to like have a proper look,
Wow.
but I always feel bad about taking stuff out. Maybe it's just more about me. Maybe I'm just too polite.
I think
Not
that
taking
comic
things out of the
stores.
bag,
I think you need a
not
new
flicking
comic store.
through.
I don't think there's any left, but
But yeah, you've done half the job for me now as far as like getting me interested in reading the book. So I think it's going to happen
yeah.
soon.
I think the writer, yeah, I definitely think the writer. I haven't read, and that's me saying I haven't read anything else of him. But yeah, for me, he's kind of carrying that.
Well, that's like when I was talking about discovering new artists through writers that that you like so like I know that I like Kyle Higgins' writing, so hopefully that's going to be solid through that book as well, and then whether it's the same artist that's doing the whole series or whether it's different artists that have jumped on for different volumes, I don't know,
I'll have to look.
that's cool. That's exciting to me.
I think I looked before. It's definitely up to 30. But the best thing about it, like, is like this cover, to me, is an awesome cover. I'm trying to hold it the right way. Yeah, cover is awesome. Like to see it so far zoomed out. And then I looked at the other covers, and then I've done it where everyone else is like the different colors will be here along it as they add them in. I was like, genius. Whoever thought of that? Like that's cool. So yeah, that's what like Power Ranger, like, I don't know. Power Rangers was kind of cool. Like, I think it's kind of cool now, but yeah, it's cool to see it like thrust into a bit more of a serious kind of comic. So,
well, it's because Power Rangers has become nostalgia now, and nostalgia drips through to all like modern day culture now. Pop culture is built on nostalgia.
Yeah, I'll put on my suit soon. That's right. Well, yeah, that's my review.
At the end of the show, we will all combine into the Megazord.
Sweet.
The mega nerd.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Can't wait for that.
Justin,
Ready
what
for
have
the
you got
next?
for us tonight?
Oh, sorry. We ready?
You guys, what were you saying?
Are we ready for the next, or is Nathan
Spin the
still
wheel.
I'm done. I'm talked out. Can't
talked out? Oh well, I'll replace you then.
Oh no, it's me.
more handsome.
See, I knew it was you, and that's why I said your name, but I got confused between which of the screens in the back end I should be looking at.
Oh yeah. Look to the right. Look to the right for what's
Look to the
happening.
right, always to the right. Okay. What have you got for us tonight?
I'm continuing my my love of horror comics for the Halloween month. It's the Christmas for horror nuts. So I have got something different now. I'm going to experiment something here. Hopefully this will work. Let's see how we go. There we go. So this is what I've got. This is oh, it's backwards, isn't it? God damn it. Okay, forget it. I'll go back to the normal camera. It's Being a Jerk. Or is it? It is.
I thought that was the comic name.
Yeah.
This is one of those bugs we're still trying to work out.
So what I've got is, this is from IDW. It is Lovecraft, The Myth of Cthulhu. Now, obviously, it's written by H.P. Lovecraft, otherwise it wouldn't say that word at the top. It's not just a clever coincidence. This is the first 3 tales that Lovecraft did based on the Cthulhu mythos, which is, I'm going to have to... I know it's the festival, Call of Cthulhu, and of course I can't remember the other one, which is The Nameless City. It's art by Esteban Maroto, who was Vampirella, creepy, eerie. I think he did Warlord of Atlantis maybe for DC in the 70s as well. But it's beautiful, exquisite. Hopefully that's not got too much shine on it.
No, it's good.
Oh, it's a nice black and white art there.
Yeah, something for you, Nathan. I knew that you'd like this.
Thanks, Matt.
So essentially, it's those 3 stories from Lovecraft, which is what other people other writers of the time sort of forged into the whole Cthulhu mythos, and this is where it all started. But it's beautiful. It's those three stories. They are, from what I can tell, the only stuff that's been taken out of Lovecraft's original work is the descriptions of things, obviously, because it's a visual medium and you can see the pictures. You don't need to have a description of something that is labeled, that is drawn, I should say. But yeah, it's very 70s art, which you would expect. It's got a brief history at the beginning, both of the Cthulhu mythos, of Lovecraft, and a little bit of Poe's writing, and of Morodo himself. Morodo talks about why he wanted to do this and his attraction to horror comics and stuff like that. And then there's a preface as well, just sort of talking about how important like horror comics are to the comics genre in general. But one of the things I like about Morodo is also, and I'm probably horribly mispronouncing his name there, but it's similar to Junji Ito in so much as that the juxtaposition of the beautiful art with such terrifying content is like really holds my attention. Like, it's very easy to do and I say easy, but it's comforting to watch, to see a romance comic with beautiful people, or a horror comic with horrible looking things in it. But when you've got beautiful people in horror, I think that makes the horror so much better. And he does sort of take his influences from other places, like in Kingsport Festival. There's possibly a little bit of Vincent Price's Dr. Phibes in some of the artwork. But yeah, it's just from cover to cover, it's stunning. One of my criticisms of a lot of modern artists, sort of post the early 90s, is that detail is just the lines that they use, instead of, like, they're afraid of putting black in. So they put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little cross-hatching lines instead of just doing something black. I think that they're afraid of blocking the black out, and that's mistaken. Those lines are mistaken for detail. When you've got the artists from this period doing detail, it's detail. It's like the actual intricacies of the product, not just like, I don't want to draw a shadow, so I'm going to draw lines. If I'm to say that I'm disappointed about this book with anything, I feel like IDW just dumped it with, like, let's just whack Helvetica in the top left-hand corner. It really felt like they didn't give a stuff about it, and they just threw it out there. And they've got, like, Lovecraft, which is perpetually popular. You go to the board game industry, and 1/10 of every board game that comes out is Lovecraft. Most horror movies are influenced, or a good volume of horror movies are influenced by Lovecraft. There's a lot of comics that have Lovecraft elements to it, and they just decided, let's just whack, some font that's sitting in the computer instead of getting somebody to actually do it. That's my only disappointment with it. But it's a stunning book, and well worth it. It's only thin. It's not too big, and you'd get it, I think it's like $30 or $40. But worth it just for it's worth it both for the prefaces, because they're just interesting summaries of the art period, the comic period, and of the writers and artists. And then the stories themselves are classic Lovecraft stories, and Morodo's art is just, you'd have to put a tissue to your mouth because you'll drool for most of the time that you're looking at it, because it's just stunning. But yeah, so that's my continuing Halloween read with that. It's a must buy.
I love when comics come with, like, the prefaces and things like that, because I think that, someone like Lovecraft, we're at that point in history now where context is so important. Like, the idea of, like, when and why he wrote these stories, who the audience originally was, what the controversies are around them now, all that sort of stuff is so important to actually being able to actively enjoy the work.
Yeah, agreed. I came to Lovecraft backwards. I didn't read the books first. I actually saw the 1986 film Reanimator first, and that film blew the top of my head off, because it had all of the stuff that I love about horror in it. It had It had zombies. It had a mad scientist. It had like, you know, crazy experiments. It had an amazing male lead and a beautiful female lead. It's easily my favorite film of all time. I could sit down and watch it. It's like on my pile of movies in my lounge room. It's always on the top because it's like if I don't know what to watch, I put Reanimator on. It's like I'll put it on while I'm vacuuming the house instead of listening to music. You know, like it's become like my background noise. And I sort of then went from that to the novels and then started seeking stuff out and reading about him. And then, you know, like sort of backwardsly finding out that, you know, H.R. Geiger was influenced by his work in his art and stuff like that. So, and even down to like, I collect board games, and like a lot of my board games are Lovecraft inspired because it's the horror of Cthulhu is a very easy thing to adapt into all sorts of situations.
And I mean that early beginnings of what became like the weird as well. It's like weird literature, like it's found in Lovecraft as well. So for any literature or English literature canon buffs out there, like you're seeing like foundational blocks of hundreds of renowned creators that came after Lovecraft as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, him and Edgar Allan Poe and Jules Verne were like the birthplace of horror detective sort of stories and science fiction. Like there's so much stuff that we have today in all sorts of pop culture that we wouldn't have if it wasn't for those three names. Like three super important people, and you know, it's a shame that the others don't get more of a crack of the whip, because I'd love to see someone like Hard Case Crime through Titan Comics do some Poe stuff. I'd love to see somebody take on Jules Verne and do something other than the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with some of his characters. I think there's a lot of opportunities there that are being ignored, and like having an artist, if someone like, I don't even know if P. Craig Russell's still drawing, but if you had somebody like that doing something like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, like I'm sure that a rendition of the Nautilus by him would be just the most stunning thing ever.
Or imagine Jeff Darrow jumping into something like Verne.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. That's good choice. Yeah, that would be amazing. I want that now. I don't want this anymore. I want that. But yeah, that's my thing.
If you somehow see this Jeff Darrow,
yeah,
please.
You have to be watching in Italy or wherever you are right now.
Someone get this into the hands of Jeff Darrow.
You won't have to pay for the rights.
It's public domain.
Public domain, just jump on it. But yeah, if you love horror comics, you love like creepy and eerie and stuff like that, and 70s, sort of the 70s style art, grab a hold of this. Ignore the bad masthead.
It feels bad calling like 70s style art. I feel like it's like me. Oh no.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
No problem.
Thanks,
Okay,
Justin.
here we go. We're going to give this a try. See if you can hear. We can hear you, Sean.
Okay, I'll be a bit more louder. Can you hear me?
What have you got for us tonight?
Okay. What?
Yep. What have you got for us tonight?
Okay. I'm going to be a bit more louder for this. So, as Justin with his little Halloween thing going, I'm going to be going Halloween too. This one, I'm actually. This is PTSD Radio, which is a horror manga. And there's actually 2 volumes of that. This is actually 2 volumes in one. And I'm actually covering this one because there's a bit of a legend with this, I would say, like, on the internet. I will admit, like, I found very little information about the creator, Masaki Makayama. But he actually was forced to quit this series and he hasn't been heard from again because he actually got struck with a mysterious disease, but also like there was some odd paranormal stuff that was happening in the studio while he was making this series.
Creepy.
Yeah, it is. So this whole thing is actually about roughly about Ogushi's curse. It's actually about hair. So it's a horror anthology, and how it reads is like it starts off like you think you're reading short stories that comes from like the past and the present, and then like they're all different characters, but along the way you start realizing like they're actually connected, and then it starts like it's like a puzzle, and then it starts finally forming.
That's cool.
And unfortunately, it didn't get finished because, like, at the end, it left on a cliffhanger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I will show a bit of art.
Does it feel like an intentional cliffhanger, or does it feel like it was
Well,
just?
Well, that looks kind of cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really
no,
nice.
like I said, like the guy in a quitting said, like I don't know, like how we would have finished it, but yeah, just too bad. Like this guy would have given Gunji Ito a run for his money. Like I actually like the art better than Gunji Ito. Like not that I don't. I do like Gunji Ito's art because like Gunji Ito's art's like coming from the 50s. Like old is new again. With his style, like this one's got a bit more modern touch. Sort of like especially like with these expressions of the people.
Man, that art is so cool.
Yeah, a little bit like horror comics don't really do anything for me. Like I don't get scared out of them and all that, but you know, like it still gives a pretty creepy vibe. Like even just like just kind of like the shadow.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I definitely like recommend it to even like horror fans out there, but it'll never be finished. But you know, as I said, like that little legend that with the book. So
I suppose there's so many of our favourite shows.
Because I kind of find like with what happens at the end, it does make you like wonder, make you think like what would actually happen next.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, so many of your favourite shows get cancelled, so you do the same thing with that. So it doesn't mean you can't go back and watch and enjoy the show for what it was. But yeah. Sometimes it's the fun of it.
Sometimes cinema like that works best when it's left with the ambiguous ending. You know, sometimes it's just like, sometimes horror cinema is at its finest when at the end you're not quite sure exactly what the result is. Sometimes that's where the terror comes from. So, yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Could you hold up the cover again, please, Sean? We didn't quite see the cover properly.
Well, this is the first
one. Okay, now I see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the second one.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that's the last one. Each one's around $35 to $40 each. You're getting 2 in 1. Okay. So these are actually reprints, but I don't know if they'll ever like reprint them again or not. So if you do see them, like definitely grab it.
Definitely. The big thick books, aren't they? Because you're just showing them from the front, but they look like they're actually quite thick. So there's a decent story in each. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Chunky.
But you know, like you do get the little
chunky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of like creepy kind of like that was the original volume 2 cover. And it's just like when you also with the chapters too, like it's all like in megahertz, so it's like you tune it into the radio, you know, to the post traumatic stress disorder radio.
Sounds like the worst radio station ever.
Yeah.
But that's that artwork's really, really good. It reminds me of Hideshi Hino a little bit. Not so much Hino's regular art, but certainly the he used to do like these, like Ito does. Like there'd be like big single pieces of artwork that were more detailed than the rest of it. And yeah, that I dig that. I think that's going to be on my list of things to look at.
That.
So cool.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
You can, but you can see so many of his influences.
Like in the 50s, the 40s and 50s. That's what it kind of reminds me of, all that sort of old stuff.
Yeah.
That's what kind of gives me his charm on that.
I'm adding to cart as we speak.
Most of the horror stuff I've seen, like it does. So the Japanese suits definitely, the Asian suits definitely have that.
Tempted to do the same, but I've been
Freaky
good.
material like myself.
Oh,
wow. Fantastic.
Once again, Recent Reads claims another person's bank account.
Thanks for nothing, Sean. Now I can't eat for a week.
We had to put you on a diet.
I need it.
Ah, gold.
I'm staying out of this conversation. That's cool. Well, I get attacked.
Well,
Thanks for sharing that one with us, Sean. That was really good.
yeah, thanks for that, buddy. Where's my name? Oh, there it is. I'm going to pop into this window because it's now... Oh, hang on. I haven't actually popped into the window. Now it's your turn.
It is my turn.
Yes.
Oof. All right, so I went down the horror trail this week myself. And I had a few books that I was keen on, but then one I kept coming back to because it really caught my eye, because I'm kind of into werewolves right now. I mentioned a bit last week when we were talking about our favourite monsters that the Wolfman is one of my favourites. So, a bit of background. So, DC launched a black label sort of sub set of comics called Hill House Comics a few years ago. And so they were partially written and then curated by Joe Hill, who's a Stoker Award-winning horror writer. His movie Horns was made into an adaptation starring Daniel Radcliffe. Nosferatu was made into a television show starring Zachary Quinto. And Lock and Key got 3 or 4 seasons on Netflix. So that's a comic series he did with Gabrielle. Oh my god, not gonna go with the name because I'm gonna forget. Anyway, if you collected all of the Hill House comics from the first run, they all had a snippet of another extra story called Sea Dogs, and that's what I'm reviewing today.
Cool.
So it's set in 1780 during the Revolutionary War in the United States, and it's sort of a naval combat story. So it starts off with you're aboard one of the colonial navy vessels, and there's a British warship called the HMS Havoc, which has been wreaking terror across the seas, and has really been taking it to the colonial navy. They've suffered horrendous losses, and they've attributed this ship, the HMS Havoc, as being involved in some of the real life biggest losses that America sustained during the Revolutionary War. So this book picks up about a year or two after a horrendous loss in Charleston, North Carolina. And so they're sort of coming up with this way: how can we take down the HMS Victory and hopefully swing the tides of war in our favor? And the way that they come up with is, what if we took 3 werewolves and convinced the British Navy that they were men enlisting to serve on the HMS Havoc. So they managed to sneak through. When you going through the story, you don't know which of the people you encounter at any time are werewolves. It kind of gets done under the cover of darkness, and then you just see people joining this new crew on the HMS Havoc. And part of the fun is like trying to figure out who amongst the crew is the actual werewolves, as the entire ship is being torn apart and decimated every night as soon as the moon hits.
Wow. That's really cool.
So it's kind of... I recently watched The Voyage of the Demeter, which was the newer Dracula film, and it kind of had that vibe of like this ship that's out there in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to run. There's no one you can turn to, and all of a sudden you're being stalked by these beasts every time the moon comes out. And it's kind of it's kind of cool because it contextually, the book takes place. So 1780 is a crucial year in the Revolutionary War because victory is not assured. Like, it is very much still a war in balance, but the most heavy losses have recently come to America. So they've had raids, they've had massive bombardments, they've had whole fleets of ships be scuttled and sent to the bottom of the sea by the British Navy. And so they don't know for sure at this time whether the war is even winnable, especially with ships like the HMS Havoc out there patrolling the seas. And so this idea of like taking these monsters, putting them on this ship, and hopefully everything goes the way they want it to, is such a cool story. And who doesn't love seeing colonial Britain just cop one? It's absolutely fantastic. There's a fantastic essay in the back of the book too. So you read all the way through, and then there's a former Coast Guard and US history teacher who writes about the Civil War and is also into comics. He sort of wrote this essay in the back of this book where he goes into significant detail about the different battles that were taking place at this time and sort of what the prospects were like for America becoming an independent nation prior to what do they say? It's Yorktown, Battle of Yorktown, which ended up being a massive American victory, which I think takes place in 1781 or 82. And the war is very quickly over after that point. But yeah, it's fantastic to see history be messed with. Like, I kind of love when... And comics seems to be a great medium for that. Like, they've done it so many times where they take real historical events and they kind of roll the dice on them, and they change a few things up, and they insert monsters, or they insert superheroes, or they do all sorts of things to make things a little bit different. But this one is definitely one that I'd recommend for werewolf fanatics and horror buffs. The art is by Dan McDade. Dan McDade is a British artist. He's come out of 2000 AD. Don't know how great this.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Let me find one of the.
See, I'm not even a horror fan, and I want this book now.
So the only bummer about this book is that it originally wasn't intended to be published as a standalone trade. So you either had to buy all the individual issues for the entire Hill House Comics run separately in order to get all of Sea Dogs, or you've got to buy the complete Hill House collection, which it's a box set of trade paperbacks, and it includes all the individual series that were published, and then they put Sea Dogs in there at the end as a bonus. But where are we?
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
He's choking a guy with his own intestines.
Nice.
Quite
And
As you do.
I have to say, getting all of the Hill House comics isn't a bad thing. Basketful of Heads was amazing. And the sequel, which I can't think of what it was called, the Basketful of Heads was amazing, and the Dollhouse was pretty good.
Refrigerator Full of Heads was the sequel.
Refrigerator Full of Heads.
Lovely.
What's amazing, the axe from Basket Full of Heads makes a cameo appearance in Sea Dogs.
Awesome. I like the little subtle tip of the hat to Shakespeare in that as well, because what it's cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. You know, some werewolves on a battleship called Havoc. Yeah, that's pretty. That's
I believe
not very
I
nice and fun.
can't remember specifically, but I believe they may say exactly that in this book at some point. But yeah, I mean, as Justin said, the Hill House Comics collection is worth its weight to pick it up. I think if you can still get it through your local comic book store, I think I paid about $189 for the box set.
That's not too bad.
But you know, you've got some fantastic. Kelly Jones has got work in there. Stuart Immonen. Joe Hill himself writes multiple stories in the collection. And Dan McDade. Anyone who has read the Firefly comics would probably be familiar with Dan McDade's work because he worked predominantly on Firefly. So there's lots to love about the book, especially I kind of love like this would have been kind of cool even if it was just a naval battle book set in the Revolutionary War. So you can imagine how much cooler it is when you throw some violent werewolves into the mix as well. So that's what I was reading.
It sounds like a Civil War version of the film Dog Soldiers from 2003, which is like taking regular soldiers up against the supernatural, which is always a fun element, two fun elements to mix together in a sort of a horror idea.
Yeah, I agree. I think that some of the best stories now are taking the monster out of their element and putting them into another situation, and I think that's what's so appealing about Dracula is like it's not when Dracula's at his castle in Transylvania, it's when Dracula comes to London that we get absolutely drawn into the story because he's now out of his element. It's when Frankenstein tries to move amongst the people that the story becomes interesting. Like the beginning is just him in a castle being mistreated by his creator, So it's once we take these creatures out of their natural environment, put them somewhere weird, it gets more interesting.
Yeah, that's what horror's all about.
Let us know in the comments if you've got anything you want to know about any of the books that we've talked about tonight. Dave Dye is in the house. We love Dave.
My dad.
Other than that, What? Go for it, sis.
I was just going to say the truth there, I think, was brought up when you said about the colonial Britain getting.
Yeah, it's when we were talking about
Arctic.
sticking it up with the
That was when
British.
you got that truth.
British.
Cool. To everyone over in Instagram, thanks for joining us as well. We can't see your comments, unfortunately, but I can see your comments. But yeah, we can't see your comments on the main
Sis is
feed.
keeping them to himself.
I'm keeping them to myself.
Secret.
Comment
If you
for it.
got any messages specifically for Sis, go to Instagram, send them through there. But if you want to be on the show, you want to come on, you want to talk about comics with us, head to the link just below me, comics.show/interest. You can, there's also, Sis pointing at something.
No, I'm not pointing at anything. I'm being silly.
But you can flag your interest for any of the shows in the Comics Network library of shows, whether it's Drink and Draw, Recent Reads, the Oz Comics Show, or Let's Make a Comic Book. And you'll just be interacting with a great bunch of people. You don't have to be a professional in any means. You don't have to be a creator. Even when it comes to Drink and Draw. I mean, if you've got a pencil, if you've got an iPad, if you want to draw, and you're happy
Or drink.
if you want to, and happy for people to see what you've drawn.
As I always say, sorry, I just got interrupted because of what Justin said there. Drinking is. Oh, hang on. I can't remember what I say now. Drinking is optional, but drawing has to be done. I can't think of the word now.
Optional.
I don't know. My brain's
That's
turned
right.
off because we're live. You see, that's what happens. We go live and this turns off.
Going live is the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity. I was so much happier before humanity went live. We could
Dude, Carl, now let's just explore this a bit more, shall we? Now, everyone's taking...
let's have a deep dive into my.
What is it about humanity being more connected you just don't like? I'm here.
Well, let me tell you.
Take a seat, young man.
He's like, oh, I gotta get myself out of this one now. I didn't mean it. Now, there'll be a formal apology.
You ever have those moments driving home in the car where you go, oh my God, I should have said that?
Yeah.
When you're live,
Yeah.
you miss it. There is no going back. It's like
compulsory.
The whole thing.
That's what I was
the whole
looking for.
experience of being live is like being on that car ride home, wishing you'd said the thing. That's just me.
See, you brought me back to the car ride.
Would you rather have a pre-recorded drive home? Is that going to be more fun for you?
I mean, I'd love a pre-recorded drive home, actually.
Would you? Just sit through that? So, oh, yes.
I can't wait for self-driving cars, to be honest. I've had enough. If you live in Toowoomba and you have to deal with Toowoomba drivers, you'll get sick of it too.
Do you guys, I don't think you guys have cars out there, so it's probably done all right.
Well, the thing is, we don't necessarily have that many cars.
Like
got a lot of
horses?
roads.
We've got horses, right?
Driving horses. There you go.
Yeah.
See, they were already doing it. Already had sentient transport back then. It was nostalgia all over again. You know.
Maybe that's what I need to do. I don't need a self-driving car. I just need a horse.
Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong, mate.
Wow, those comments really take a while to come through.
Yeah, some good. I feel like we're gonna have to do a manga. We have to do a manga thing at some point, eh? A little manga.
Yeah, we haven't done one for a while. We had a few people come through and do them.
Yeah. I've got it, but I read like romantic manga. Like, I read the stupidest kind of manga, so I'm like, I can't review it. I can't because it's like embarrassing. I'll do it, but you'll see how much I enjoy it, and it'll be too scary, so I can't.
No, you've already told us.
For the Valentine's Day episode.
Huh?
Save it for the Valentine's Day episode. We'll all do a love color.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll make sure you're on for that one.
Sweet. Yeah. Put my little outfit on too. It'd be nice.
It'd be lovely. I like it.
I'm scared.
I'm excited.
But yeah.
So,
I suppose that brings
Sorry,
us
Ryan.
pretty much.
Get me out of the situation.
What? No. You dug yourself into the hole. You can dig yourself out.
All right, just to prove it. All right, here we go.
You can either
Smoking
can show us
behind the
your collection.
supermarket with you. All right, that's a glimpse into how good my manga taste is.
Cool, because we were going to stay live until Juddy showed us his romance manga collection.
I'm not going to show you. I don't get romance ones. I get something a little bit different.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what that could be.
Yeah.
I can only speculate.
ComXXX. That's for.
I'd say
ComX After Dark.
we were going
there
to
you
stay
go.
live until we saw Justin's collection of books with nude women in them, but I think that we'd be here by next week.
Yeah, I think we're gonna fun. Yeah. He's just into big personalities, all right? That's the thing about Jaro. You just gotta know that, you know. So this is what I've noticed.
Obviously, that's good.
Love me some manga. See, people want the manga.
Yeah. I forgot you guys.
I have some manga, so we can
Yeah.
we can do that if people want to. We can do that. We can do a manga episode.
Manga
I
March.
don't own any.
Manga.
Especially we get some
Manga.
new faces, people out there. We get some new manga faces.
Suddenly you get the inbox fill up with all fresh people like, yeah, I need a manga. Yeah, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying it wrong, which I probably am, oh, yeah, I'll come.
I don't
Be
know. Is
careful
it
with
manga? Is it manga?
faces too.
So we got. But yeah, I've had a couple, but I'm like, I stick to comics on here. But because I've been mostly reading manga lately, so very
Oh, we can
different.
talk about manga. It's
That's
fine.
open.
No, I don't want to derail comics. All right, it's not Manga X. That's
No.
different. Realize now that I say that, I understand why it's not called.
ComX is the studio. Recent Reads is the show. So it's what have you been recently reading?
Recent reads. Whatever you've
I'm
read
probably
recently.
going to do manga
If it's
next
got
week,
words and
so-
pictures, you can read. You can talk about it.
Words and pictures. Okay.
Yeah,
Words and pictures. Sequential art. That means comic.
Yep.
but it's got to be a little bit more than like see Dick run Dick run home Dick. It's got to be a bit more than like storybooks.
Where have you taken this? Brian?
No one
even
else
like-
knows that. No one else knows that old story.
No,
Yeah.
it just sounds
Doesn't
funny.
sound like a story to me, man. Don't know.
It sounds like one of my manga, actually.
Yeah, I've probably got a
You
couple.
know,
on
it's
the
those
shelf
books
I could
when you're
show you
learning to
some screen.
read. They all work in repetition.
Dick and Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Don't Google it. Once again, don't.
You can just Google it.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
Don't Google Dick Run, whatever you do.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it'd be pleasant.
But if you type it in, if you type "run Dick Run" in Google, it's okay, or is it not okay?
You tell
I
us.
feel like I didn't think either. Was
I
okay.
don't think you wrote the same word twice. I don't know. How does it work?
This is one of Ryan's stories. I'm just kind of here for a review. So
Well, I'm going to quickly throw it out there while we're doing all this nonsense.
okay.
Remember to like the video, people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't been here before. That would be awesome. It helps the community grow.
Mhm.
It helps us grow as a show and as a channel. So that would be awesome if you could do that.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like Ronnie says here, manga is just the Japanese word for comic. So it's totally fine.
Is it actually? I feel like it's not. I feel like it has a slightly different meaning.
Quick, stop the show. The comments are going to go crazy now after that.
Is it actually? Like if we Google it, is it? I feel like
Yeah, it
it
is. It's just the
Is it?
Japanese word for comic.
Maybe that's what we'll do now to boost our engagement. We'll just make broad generalizations about comics culture worldwide, and then just
Exactly.
wait for the comments to roll in.
Yeah,
That
well,
works.
the memoir as well.
I'm actually an illustrator, so I just I can't be seen with any cartoonists around here, you know.
Oof.
Yeah, they're gonna get lit off about that. You wait, that'll trigger some people. And what do we
People are
got?
going to be hate watching the show now.
Like,
Fantastic.
Clip Studio is better than
What's
every
the
other
point?
one as well. So better than Photoshop and Procreate.
We're,
Now,
we're going for hate now, are we? Lovely.
going after everyone now. Definitely, if it's in my list, they're going to be triggered. Let's go.
This has gone off the rails.
This
That's
has gone
okay.
off the rails. Probably a good time for me to figure out how we end it. Who wants the intro again? Yay!
Yeah, that
Well,
sounds
before we
organised.
do that, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We hope that you've enjoyed hearing about the books that we read this week. Hopefully there's something in there for everyone. Catch us next week. Oh my God, my computer just went black.
Oh, no way.
I'm just going to unplug myself in the chat because I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Are we
Join us
showing the
next week.
book?
We'll talk about more comics. Jump in, have some fun. Let us know what you think. And we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
ComX Pod Show /interest. If you want to be on the show, we want to talk to you about what comics you love as well.
Please replace me. I'm Hell Captain.
Yes, we're still looking for Nathan's replacement.
Please.
Yeah.
Every second week. Help me. Anyway.
Okay, on that note, I'm going to say good night. Cheers, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
You haven't turned it off yet, have you?
Damn it. They can still hear us under the